All right, guys. So we have a video here made by a content creator called Azalira. I think that's his name, Azalira. But we're gonna go ahead and check out this video because he's talking about the in-game mode, um, immersive theater, and the in-game mode pretty much revolves around Psyche. You getting character secrets for Psyche and her weapon, so you can farm her and obtain her. But he's talking about Act 12 of Immortal Repertoire. Let me go ahead and show you guys where I'm at in this in-game mode, how far I'm in. So there we go. Okay, so when we come over here to immersive theater, I am currently in the Mortal Repertoire Act 1. My characters are level 60, so we're not going to be able to do much as of to right now unless we level up. So my plan is, of course, I have Psyche right here. My plan is to pretty much build Psyche because we do have this buff over here where let me go back. Yeah, we have this buff here where NMO characters can do like 400% more damage, which is actually insane. So I'm gonna go ahead and build Psyche, and when I build her, we're gonna do pretty well in this Immortal Repertoire. So that's pretty much where I'm at right now. The characters that I used in feature repertoire, I use Lizabelle, Rebecca, not Rebecca, yeah, Rebecca, Berenica, MC, Truffle, and Daphne. Those are the characters I used so far in immersive theater, and they did pretty well. Like Lizabelle is actually very, very good, and the fact that we get, they give us a dupe on her, like a guaranteed dupe, is actually insane. So Elizabeth has been carrying me alongside Berenica. They're doing really, really well. But I know for sure that once I reach higher levels in Immortal Repertoire, Berenica is not gonna be enough, and I'm gonna have to use characters like Lynn or Outsider or what's her name, Psyche, in order to deal with these enemies because we do have that buff. So let's go ahead and see this video. Let's see what he has to say about Immortal Repertoire.
Discuss with the community and get this conversation started as early as possible because Duet Abyss is still in its infant stages since the game just released for like 4 days by this point, and the early
Yes. I'm glad he mentioned that because there is a lot of doom posting going on when it comes to doing Night Abyss. Of course, there are valid criticism. There's valid complaints, right? And I feel like this video is going to be a pretty valid video. But yeah, there's like a lot of doom posting going on. People spreading a lot of misinformation, saying that you have to buy characters. You have no choice but to buy characters. The game is pay to win and all this nonsense. It's like, bro. Like there's like people are just saying a lot of things that just don't make any sense, saying that it's impossible to get Psyche within 65 runs. It's like, where are you getting this information from, bro? Out your ass? Like it makes no sense. Well, let's continue.
earlier we can have discussions about the game itself, the devs can kind of be aware of the issues and what the community feels, and things may change for the better moving forwards. Good morning, Burbs. My name is Azalira, and today we are discussing the harsh truth about the immersive theater itself. So first, let me set the stage. No pun intended. Let's say you're someone who really enjoys playing Berenica or playing Rhythm. All this time you've been spending all your resources into getting Intron number 6 for those characters that you love so much, only to find out that your melee-centric characters of Berenica and Rhythm gets abso-fucking-lutely shafted. Because what you're seeing on screen.
Let's see these buffs here. Enemies regenerate 30% of their max shield every 3 seconds. Regeneration pauses while any elemental bonus effect is active. While a perimeter is present, nearby enemies take 25% less damage, and enemies take 80% less damage. This reduction diminishes by 2% each time they take damage from ranged weapon. Yeah, these debuffs are low-key crazy.
Right now is the modifiers for the current cycle of Immersive Theater's Endgame.
Now, of course, like, once again, guys, when I look at this, right, I look at these debuffs and buffs. Of course, they're restrictive and they're catered to, like, specific units. But at the same time, I'm like, all right, how can I get these characters? Do I have to pull for them? Or do I just simply grind and I obtain them? The answer is I just grind and obtain them. It's like that's why when I look at doing Night Abyss, whenever situations like this occurs, it's not gonna be as bad as, these gacha games where they have predatory mechanics, predatory buffs, predatory debuffs, and the only way you can deal with this is by spending money to pull for these units and pull for their weapon, and you can clear content, right? But of course, stuff like this, definitely not a fan of it when it comes to, debuffs and buffs cater to specific units. Now, of course, like when it comes to the increased pyro and animal damage, Outsider, he is like Outsider, they literally give you a free copy of Outsider when you go through the story, and he's an animal character. Lynn, you can literally farm Lynn and get her for free. So it's like the solution to this is pretty easy. It's like you just use other characters and you're good to go. But of course, if you want to use a specific unit, and let's say they're not a pyro or animal character, then you're probably gonna have a tough time. So this really just comes down to they're not letting me use characters I'm comfortable with. They're not letting me use characters I want to play with. They're forcing me to use specific units. That's really what it comes down to. But of course, the solution to that is not that predatory. It's really not predatory whatsoever because every character is for free.
Like, please read this. Enemy units take increased pyro and anemo damage by 400% and take reduced damage from other attributes by 50%. This literally means that if you're not playing pyro or anemo damage, you're getting absolutely shafted. On top of the fact that if you're not playing range damage, you're also absolutely shafted. Because these enemy buffs apply to not just big enemies, but also every single small mob that spawns in. And while I 100% agree that this is all absolutely ridiculous, there's also another perspective that we should look at as well. This could be the devs' way of saying, hey, you should try out this playstyle and stuff like that, because this is meant to be a challenge, and not just like a gameplay kind of challenge, but also a, hey, you should build these characters kind of challenge, and kind of forcing you to get out of your actual comfort zone and try something new. And this is something that Duet Night Abyss can really capitalize on, because the fact that you can grind basically everything for free. Although you still have to put in a lot of time and effort for it, obviously.
Now, for me, it took me like an hour and 30 minutes to get Psyche. It took me like a solid hour or probably 50 minutes to get her. It really doesn't take that long because there is obviously like a pity system when it comes to character secret letters. There is, because so far every single person who commented under my videos, and not even just my videos, other content creators, right? I would look at comment sections, I would look at the comments under other videos, Reddit, etc. Everybody says that it would take them like 10 to 15 runs to get a weapon secret letter. Meanwhile, for characters, it would take them like what? 10 to 20 runs or 10 to 30 runs to get a character. So it's pretty obvious that, the average run, like the amount of time it takes you to get, like the amount of runs it takes you to get these characters, it's around like what, 10 to 15 or 15 to 25 runs. And for me, it took me like what, I think 17 runs to get Psyche. 17. It took me 17 runs in total to get Psyche. So yeah, and when you look at the enemy level from 50 to 60, you get like what, 20 character secret letters, and then for first 30 stars and the enemy level 70 to 80, you get like what, 21 secret letters. So you're getting like 41 as of right now, and of course they're going to release more soon. So you're going to get a guaranteed Psyche 100%.
And also the fact that in the future, when we're like level 80s or something like that, a majority of these rewards can be easily claimed because they're locked behind level 50, 60, and less than 70 enemies.
Exactly. That's another thing too. It's like we're still in the early game. So that's why this issue is not that big of a deal. But of course, later on in the future, it can escalate and it can become a problem. So, talking about this early on is valid for sure. Like talking about buffs and debuffs that cater to specific units early on can actually benefit us. It can actually um change a lot of things because the devs are aware that, hey man, people are complaining that these buffs are catered to specific units. Let's go ahead and change that, right? So talking about this early on is actually pretty good.
Which I probably think that by the point where we're like at the mega endgame, you could probably blitz through all these without even caring about the conditions.
But at the same time though, it's like, okay, you considering how there's no gacha system and you can get all these characters for free, at the same time, it's like it's kind of understandable why they chose to do something like this, because if they're like, okay, we want people to not even just this, but we want to make money, right? We want to make money in order for us to keep this game alive. Like in order for Do Not Abyss to stay alive, in order for the game to not EOS, they have to make money. That's just how it works, right? It just depends on how you make that money, right? What choices you make, what you implement in the game. That's what really matters, right? So if you guys were to ask me, hey, Ferris, which one would you prefer? I would prefer this over any other gotcha game, right? Where, oh, the solution is to just pull for the character and you're good to go. In this game, it's like, nah, bro, I just go ahead and grind these characters, get them for free, and I'm good to go. I'm good to go. And I think the best tactic is to build units in every attribute, every element, right? I build an animal character, an animal DPS character. I build a electro DPS unit. I build a lumino DPS unit, umbro, and etc. This way, whenever they do stuff like this, where up a character, not even that, but this element will deal more damage. Guess what? I can just switch to that character. That simple. That's what I'm doing right now. I have my Elizabeth built. She's a Lumino DPS unit. I have my Rebecca built. She's a Hydro DPS unit. I have my Veronica built. She's an Umbro DPS. And I have my, and I'm going to start building Psyche now. And she's going to be an Animal DPS character. I want to try to cover every single DPS unit in every element so that whenever they do stuff like this, where two elements gain additional damage, I can just switch on over to that character that benefits from that. And I can just blitz through content.
But still, I personally don't like the fact that they're just like, yeah, you gotta just play these characters, man. And I think that a lot of you might agree with me on this. Because to me, I feel like one of the biggest points of doing Night Abyss is just that you can farm whatever you want, play however you want, and things like that. But then when they kind of put these kinds of restrictions on and be like, hey man, I want to use my, really, really well built Veronica in this new endgame mode. And then suddenly it's just like, yeah, nah. Considering the two perspectives, I'm kind of somewhere in the middle ish. But that's exactly why I wanted to make this video a bit of a discussion for all of you as well in the community. Because I feel like once people really start reaching the endgame, this is going to be such a huge point for discussion. So hey, why not?
It depends, right? It depends. Because once again, when we reach the end game, once all of our characters are max leveled, that's when we can really see if, you know, these buffs and debuffs really affect, you know, which characters you use. The end game. Like once we reach the end game, because right now we're still in the early game, right? You got people who are level 60 fighting level 70 bosses, fighting level 80 bosses, which makes no sense. So once we all reach like max level and all of our characters are maxed out, then that's when we can really, really see if this is going to be a problem or not. But of course, talking about this early on is still good.
Started early, right? So now, with that out of the way, I'll also do my due diligence here and show you all exactly how I reached Immortal Repertoire Act 12. One of the two main characters.
Okay, so he's just talking about, his builds and the characters and whatever. I don't feel like we don't really have to watch all that. But overall, pretty solid video here. Pretty solid start. Him talking about Immortal Repertoire, pretty much saying, hey man, it'd be nice if you guys don't implement buffs like this and let us use whichever units we want. I think that's fair. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Overall, so far for me, I am taking my sweet time, right? I'm taking my time. If I see that I'm under leveled, I'm just gonna, you know, do a temporary pause, build my characters, make them stronger, and then I'm gonna challenge Act 1 again. That's what I do. That's how I handle, these games early on. When I'm low leveled, I build my characters, make them strong, and then I challenge the boss again. That's how I do things. Because I feel like sometimes a lot of people they like to rush in, right? They like to rush in, use multiple characters. They don't really read the buffs. They don't really read the debuffs. They don't read anything. They just go right in. And if they can't clear it, they're like, "Oh man, this sucks, bro. You know, this is terrible. I can't even clear with this character." And when we look at Lizabelle, I'm pretty sure Lizabelle can clear. I think she can actually clear um a mortar respirator. I think she can because they gave us like when we go over to the Restless Him event, you can literally get 60 shards from this event, guys. You can get 60 shards, which means that you can get one dupe on Lizabelle. And of course, you can keep farming her because they give you 40 secret letters, which is actually insane. And you can max out Lizabelle. So you can definitely clear a mortar respirator with Lizabelle completely free to play. So once again, guys, when it comes to Duet Not Abyss, and when I look at the in-game mode in Duet Not Abyss, when I see situations like, oh, you know, Pyro and Enemo damage increase by 400% and take reduced damage from other attributes by 50%. The process for me to bypass this, not bypass, but the process for me to benefit from this buff isn't predatory due to the fact that I can just go ahead, come to the shop here, right? We come to the shop, go to covert commissions, boom. I just get these characters. I just go ahead and farm them, get them completely for free. Lynn, she's a pyro character. I'm just gonna farm Lynn, get her for free, and I'm good to go. Outsider, Outsider. He's an animal character, an animal DPS. I can just go ahead and use him, and he's completely for free. It's like the process for you to benefit from those, like to benefit from these buffs, it's completely free. There's no gotcha involved. Just grind and you're good to go. That's why it's not as devastating compared to these gotcha games where if they implement, these predatory buffs, these predatory mechanics, you have no choice but to pull for the new shiny limited 5-star character to deal with these predatory mechanics and predatory, not predatory, but restrictive buffs, restrictive debuffs, right? So yeah, that's all I have to say about this. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'm gonna go ahead and build my psyche and see if we can actually blitz through immersive theater. But hope you guys have a good one. I'll be seeing you guys soon. Adios.